What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer. So I just went over that new Gem Knight support, and the only thing I know about Gem Knights is Gem Knight FTK, and that's still very much a thing. It's kind of confusing. I'm going to try to explain, but the new card is so crazy. The new Fusion continuous spell. I was thinking, oh, only your opponent can have it, but no, there's a card that enables every FTK pretty much ever in existence, and that is Black Rose Garden, and it is very accessible in this deck. This deck is way more consistent than it should be for an FTK. I'm going to go over 4 different ways you can do the FTK, or 4 different test hands is probably a better way to say it. That way you can kind of get a better understanding, but essentially you're going into Black Rose Garden, and then everything else just kind of works out that way. Because the Link monster is the best Link monster in the game, maybe other than Predaplant Anaconda. I'm not afraid to say that in terms of what it enables. It searches a fusion spell, and it fusion summons from the graveyard. 2 fusions in this deck is the end of the combo. So the best way to get to Black Rose Garden is either A, hard drawing it, which is easy, right? Simply draw it in your hand. But also Adamancipator Researcher is insane in this deck because all of your Gem Knight monsters are not tuners. So they're rock non-tuners. So essentially you're getting into Black Rose Garden in any scenario for the most part, as well as getting to special summon one of them from the deck, because you're always going to hit them, like the way that at least though I built my deck. So we'll go ahead and start with Rescue Rabbit. It's pretty much the best play starter in the entire deck. It lets you get 2 of the Lapis. So Lapis, the whole deck is centered around this normal monster. Like, this is it right here. You're looking at it. Lapis is used for the most important fusion monsters in the deck, which of course is Lapis Lazuli. This is the card that enables the FTK. This is what burns your opponent. And I believe, and also it can also count towards like the really important one as well, which is Diamond, which copies Lazuli. So this is a level 3. Now you control a rock monster, so you get a free special summon there with Adamancipator. So once you're at this point, I mean, of course, your opponent could hand trap you at any point. So I understand that hand traps exist, but in order for your deck to win, it has to be able to do something. So I'm just going to go ahead and show these. Assuming your opponent doesn't have the proper hand traps. So Adamancipator Researcher here is going to come down, and then you can use its effect. Lets you excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and then you get to special summon a non-rock. So you saw a bunch of tech cards in there, a lot of normal monsters, which will come up in the later ones. It doesn't really matter. Like, Obsidian is like way better in the hand. It literally only has an effect in the hand, but in this case, it's just a body. And when you have like 4 bodies on the board, it's over. So you're going to go ahead and special summon there into a Rose Maiden. This lets you add Black Rose to the hand. So you're running 3 copies of Black Garden, as well as Terraforming. And then obviously there's tons of ways to go into this. So this FTK, like I said, is pretty darn consistent. Okay, so here is Black Rose Garden. And once you activate it, so now you're just going to focus on special summoning. You need to fusion summon Lapis and Diamond. How are you going to do that? Well, there's a few different ways, because once you start special summoning, and here's the Link monster, lets you add a Gem Knight card from your deck to your hand. Now, the new fusion card isn't a Gem Knight card, but it's searchable. I talked about that, in that video. So this is the first. Anytime you normal or special summon, you get a token, and that's it. Because Lapis Lazuli says if you burn for every special summon monster on your field and your opponent's field. So you can go ahead and add Gem Knight Fusion. You get to banish a Gem Knight monster from the graveyard to add this back to your hand, a non-once per turn on any of those effects. This card is stupid. It's actually really, really dumb. So you're just going to be fusion summoning a lot of times. So there goes the first token, which was added off of this. And then now, since your opponent controls a monster, this is where this card is so good. I'm talking about Black Rose Garden. Your opponent now controls a monster, so you can discard it and set a fusion continuous spell, which is part of the new support. So both of these new cards, like this FTK does not happen without this new support. Gem Knight FTK is a real thing again. Okay, so then Scatter Fusion. What's the best way to fusion summon? Well, by sending those cards to the from the deck to the graveyard, which is exactly what this card does. Now, you can only summon Gem Knight Fusion monsters for the rest of the turn, but who cares? You get to Foolish Burial a whole lot of really good stuff. So you want regular Lapis in your hand or on the field constantly. So you get to send Lazuli from the graveyard. This lets you add it back to your hand. And Crystal Rose is just an extender. All you have to do is banish a fusion monster from the graveyard to special summon it back. Also, it can turn into Lapis. You get to Foolish Burial a Lapis if you need to, or literally anything else for your fusion summon. which definitely comes up. So again, every time we special summon, we're getting that next token on the field. We get to add that Lapis back to from the graveyard. Now here comes Gemini Fusion. So now like we're getting close to the end here. So here we go. Here's Lapis Lazuli. You just have to have a Gemini Lapis and a Gemini monster. None of these are once per turns, by the way. Like Lazuli or this one is not once per turn Obsidian. This is before the age of, having things like that even exist. So there goes another token, and Gemini Fusion can banish, and I can add this back again, like I said, non-once per turn. So I can Fusion Summon once again, go into whatever is generic, because you want... well, at this point, this is overkill. You're just trying to get the 5 tokens on your opponent's field, but you're going to be burning for way more than 8,000 damage. Gemini Fusion can add back. That's kind of unnecessary. So the last piece of the puzzle here is going into Diamond. So Diamond's going to go ahead and special summon by shuffling 3 Gemnites from the graveyard or Banish pile, because that's OP. And here we go. So basically, the only thing left to do here, Black Rose Garden summons that last token. Lapis can send, make sure you have to send, actually, Lapis Lazuli, because this has to banish to copy its effect. So you get to Foolish Burial it, burn for 5k. Then all you have to do, of course, is banish the extra copy of Lapis Lazuli to then send whatever you want. The duel's over, so you can send another one, doesn't matter, to burn for the rest of your opponent's life points. And there's FTK number 1. So that one's really straightforward. Like I said, Researcher is stupid. It's so good. But what if you don't have Researcher in your hand? Well, he's also Terraforming, right? I talked about this as well. And I'm trying to get as many different looks. So being able to normal summon Gem Armadillo, this lets you add any Gemini monster from your deck to your hand, which is pretty cool. Now, I already have Scatter Fusion in my hand, so it's a little weird. Like, this is a very awkward hand, but it actually still does definitely work. So I'm going to get that token right off the bat. So this is now online, easy peasy. And like I said, these are non-once per turns. Like, there's really few cards you actually want in your hand, or like that really do anything in your hand. And Obsidian is one of those. So being able to trigger that multiple times definitely ensures your FTK goes through. So now I can go ahead and activate Scatter Fusion, but in this case, it didn't really matter because I also had Quartz. This card is actually just doing nothing in my hand. It's kind of a Garnet, LOL, considering that Gemnites are the origin of Garnet because of its monster. But then you can go ahead and go into Seraphinite. Doesn't really matter like what you send. I mean, you definitely want to send a Lapis. Crystal Rose is just an extender, but the effect that lets you normal summon additional time is just kind of cool more than anything. But we already have 2 tokens here, so we're getting close, I feel like, to the end of the FTK here. Quartz, again, pretty much just helps you go into the Link monster, which is pretty neat. The 3rd token comes down. Those can go ahead and get traded into the Phantom Quant. And the Phantom Quant can search me the normal fusion spell, which is Gemini Fusion. And that 4th token comes down. Crystal Rose can go ahead and special summon itself, just trying to get bodies on the board. And Gemini Fusion can finally make its way to the field. So pretty awesome when this card's sent from hand. You get to target a level 4 normal monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So that's where this card really comes in handy, Zarconia, because all of them are rock monsters. Meaning you just basically get your Quartz back to the field, or your Lapis, I should say, and then Lapis can be used, to make your other plays happen. And I can add this back to my hand. I already have another copy, so, I mean, what are you going to do? And then there's already enough tokens on the board. Gemini Fusion can go ahead and banish, add this back to my hand. And then I can go into Gemini Fusion, go into Lapis Lazuli. And can special summon this back. Not really all that important at this point. But then I just need to Fusion Summon one more time. I don't even need to add this back to my hand. It's kind of overkill. And then once I shuffle all those back, I just have to go into Diamond. Lapis Lazuli can send another copy of itself to the graveyard. And then I can banish it, copy the effect, and banish and burn for the rest of it. So that was another way of getting it right. That's the hard opening of Black Garden. Unexpected Die. So that first replay I showed a lot of tech cards. I also run a little normal package because there's other Gemnite normal monsters, but really what you need is, without Black Garden, you aren't really doing anything at all. Like, you're not winning the duel. So the whole deck is centered around first getting the field spell, and then everything kind of sorts itself out after that. But this is a great normal summon, so I run a level 1 normal tuner, Flamwall Guard, which I know has been used for a long time when it came out. It was a really big deal that there was a level 1 tuner that you could summon. But I also run a level 2 because I could have also summoned it here, but I do like the normal summon to be able to add this to my hand. I already hard opened Gemini Fusion 2, so this hand's actually kind of cracked, not going to lie. So I can add pretty much the best one, which is Obsidian. Black Rose Maiden counts as a body. Definitely don't want to put it in the extra monster zone because you want to go into the Link monster. I can go ahead and special summon this back, and the tokens start coming down. You special summon so much, so it's like you're always going to have the condition here. And then I can probably add Crystallized Fusion via the new card, the Quartz. So Quartz can go ahead and pitch itself, set this Scattered Fusion from the deck, and then I can use the effect to Foolish Burial, get myself an extender, as well as the Lazuli, which is going to add this back to my hand. And then I already have the Brilliant Fusion, in the graveyard. Or not Brilliant, Gemini Fusion, excuse me. Brilliant Fusion is banned. And then I can go ahead and add this back to my hand. Not really all that important. Like, the duel is over, at this point, which is pretty funny. And then Gemini Fusion, I just kind of do this because you can. But yeah, you don't need to have all your zones, right? You're burning for 5K. I had it set up like before, but yeah, you definitely want to have just enough, and at that point it becomes overkill. And then last hand, again, I'll show you another version with Unexpected Die. This one just a little bit different. This one is the level 2 tuner, and then I can normal summon the Lapis. Definitely running 3 copies. Really cool to have a normal monster that's actually like really, really useful. That's like, it's normally always a Garnet, but in this case, it's like awesome to see. It's the cornerstone of your Black Rose and this. If you have these 2 cards, you're almost always gonna have that FTK in place. Gemini Fusion. This hand's a little strange, but it still gets the job done, which is crazy. It just shows how good Gemini Fusion is, really, more than anything, and the Link monster. So yeah, it's being able to just send 2 extenders through the deck while also getting a body. This card is so good. I really kind of can't wait. I want to play this deck in real life. I know FTKs, everybody hates them, and normally I do too, but this one feels less annoying because you do have to have a pretty good understanding, and it does challenge deck building as well. It's also terrible going second because you can't really run into hand traps because you need consistency. You saw 4 different ways, so you can see this isn't just a one combo. Well, it is one combo, but there's so many different ways to do it, right? And that's what makes it so interesting and so consistent, that everything is searchable from the deck, and as long as you can get Black Rose on the field. Hopefully that helps, because I didn't really see any guides like this on YouTube, and I kind of figured it out for myself. So if you want to know how to do the Gemini FTK, I think this video should be a pretty good resource for you. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Other than that, this is going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.